Because for me, mine is, I don't even want to say mine because mine is nowhere near as dramatic as that. I wasn't in another state.
Right.
I didn't lose my job, but I was in college. And I was in my undergrad. There was a course that every undergrad, if you were a music major, you had to take. And that course was 351B. And it was known as one of the hardest courses to take.
So what's 351B?
It was a music history class.
Okay.
And it was, I believe it's the second one you take. So you usually take it when you're like either a sophomore or a junior in college. And it was known, this will be one of the hardest courses that you take. And I took it and I failed it. And it was one of the courses where, even in the class, it was like, some people pass, some people don't. And that just happens. It was one of those courses where if you did fail the first time, you weren't really looked at like, oh yeah, this person is dumb. That's just how it was. And so the first time I failed, took it again, and starts off the class like, oh yeah, some of you guys are the repeat offenders. It's like, whereas third of the class took it already, but I was part of that third. And then I took it the second time, and I failed again. And I felt embarrassed. I felt dumb. I felt like it was probably the biggest feeling that I felt was embarrassment because I didn't hear about these stories. I wasn't hearing about the student that was failing multiple times, and I was the one that was failing multiple times.
Yeah.
And so now I'm going into my third, and I've already gotten the email where, hey, if you fail this class again, you cannot take it anymore. And now all of a sudden I can't graduate. Now all of a sudden I can't move forward in my undergraduate studies. And I'm questioning, maybe this isn't for me, and maybe this is a sign where I should not be doing this. Now, in hindsight, I didn't do it, so maybe that was the sign.
Right.
But it was, I didn't know what to do because I'm like, well, if I take it again, I'm going to fail it again. For whatever reason, I just don't get it. And I remember two of my professors said, stop by the office, bring your notes, bring your test that you've taken, and bring all of like your study guides. And then we sat down, and what I found out was I didn't know how to take notes. And I started thinking back, and since elementary school, you always hear, hey, take notes. Hey, this is going to be on your test. Make sure you take notes.
Yeah.
But no one ever taught me how to take notes. And so for me, I would always take notes trying to write down everything the teacher was saying. Because in my mind, that's just how it worked. Take notes. All right.
See, but that becomes problematic, though, because it's more of like you're recording what's going on, but you're not thinking about or processing what you're listening to.
I spent most of my time trying to remember, what did she say? What did he say?
Right.
And so my notes were all this information. I really only needed half a page, and I had like 5 pages of notes. And then I go home, and I'm just literally regurgitating everything that was said, and nothing is really sticking. And then they looked at the test and said, you're not really understanding the question. And they were looking at my answers. And so I had to literally go back to the foundation. Okay, how do you take notes?
Yeah.
What are you looking for? What are you listening for? How are you writing it down? How are you organizing your notes? This is how I take notes. And so they hooked me up with a tutor. And it was really how to process, like, how are you thinking when the lecture is going on? What are you looking for? And we went the foundations of everything, step by step. How do you study for a test? Well, no one really taught me how to study. Studying for me was memorizing. And I had to just memorize chapter 1 through 3.
Yeah.
And so I'm going through reading, hoping, okay, this sounds important. Okay, this sounds important. I should probably memorize that. But it didn't really go beyond memorization.
Because that's not learning.
That's not learning. Yeah. And that's what I spent a lot of my time in school doing, memorizing. Just memorizing information to pass the test to get the A in the class so I could move on to the next course.
Yeah.
And that was kind of a breaking point for me. I had to go back to my kind of foundation of learning. How do you learn something? And then going through that process of tutoring and everything else, every test I got to be on, the 25-page paper that we had to write, I got to be on, and I ended up passing the class. But it taught me kind of had to go back to that foundation.